She said she loved me, lived with me, slept beside me. But late one night, I found a dating profile with my face in the background, cropped, blurred, hidden. I was sitting on the couch late one night, half watching some rerun and mindlessly flipping through a dating app my buddy had installed on my phone as a joke. He said I needed to see what's out there after being in a long-term relationship. I laughed it off. I had no intention of using it. I was happy, or at least, I thought I was. Her name popped up on the second swipe. Not a lookalike. Not someone who shared her name. Her. Samantha. My girlfriend of 3 years. The woman I lived with. The woman who, just earlier that night, had kissed me on the cheek, told me she loved me, and then headed off to bed. My heart stalled. My thumb froze. The profile was set to private, but her first photo, blurry and low-lit, was unmistakable. A selfie taken in our bathroom, same gray tiles behind her. But what hit me hardest was the second image. Blurry again, like it had been cropped quick or masked. But I knew that face. My face. Half of it, anyway. Cut off just enough to not raise alarms, unless you knew what to look for. I sat there for what felt like an hour, blinking at the screen, scrolling through the bio like maybe I had it wrong. Maybe it was an old profile she forgot about. Maybe someone stole her pictures. Maybe I was just being paranoid. God, I wanted it to be paranoia. But then I noticed the green dot. Active now. My stomach dropped. That was not a dead profile. That was someone out there right now, looking, swiping, chatting. While I was sitting alone in the same house we shared, I locked my phone and tossed it across the room, like that would somehow change what I saw. But the image stuck in my mind like gum on a shoe. Her face. My face. That stupid green dot. I needed answers. But not tonight. I was not ready. So I sat there, staring at the dark hallway where her bedroom light still glowed under the door. And I wondered, what the hell else had I missed? Because if this was true, nothing about our life was real. The next morning, I watched her make coffee like nothing was wrong. She was in my hoodie, barefoot, humming along to some song she liked from that true crime podcast she always played. The sunlight came through the blinds just enough to give the kitchen that calm, weekend morning vibe. But my stomach was in knots. My hand shook as I poured my own cup. I kept looking at her, waiting for some kind of crack to show. A nervous tick, a guilty glance, something. But she was calm. Too calm. I kept thinking, was she doing this the whole time? While I was right here, under the same roof. Over breakfast, she laughed about some text her coworkers sent. Her phone buzzed every couple minutes. Normally, I would not have thought twice about it. But now, every buzz felt like a dagger. I told myself to wait, to dig before accusing. Maybe it really was an old account. Maybe I needed more proof. That night, while she was in the shower, I unlocked her laptop. My hands were sweating, heart pounding so loud I was sure she could hear it through the door. I opened the browser. She had not cleared anything. There it was. Her dating app. Not just installed, open. Active chats. One message caught my eye. It was recent. From a guy named Chase. The message read, "Last night was fun. Let me know when he is out again." I felt my throat close up. Last night? I thought. That was the night I stayed late at work. I clicked into the conversation. Scrolling felt like peeling off my own skin. Photos. Flirty messages. Mentions of where they met. Some rooftop bar she told me was girls' night. Even a plan to meet again next week. My head spun. My hands were ice cold. But what really did me in? The fact that she had used a picture of us, cropped, to advertise herself to strangers. Like our life together was just a prop. I slammed the laptop shut and sat there, numb. Rage and heartbreak wrestling inside me. This was not just cheating. This was betrayal on another level. I needed to confront her. But not like this. Not angry. Not wild. I needed to hear her say it. So I waited by the door, hands still trembling, until I heard the water shut off. And in that silence, I made my choice. I was going to ask her one question, and how she answered would decide everything. She stepped out of the bathroom, towel wrapped around her, steam following like a shadow. Her face lit up when she saw me. "Hey babe," she said, smiling. Like nothing had changed. I just looked at her and asked one question. "Is there anything you want to tell me?" Her smile flickered, just for a second. Not gone, but dimmed. Like a light bulb struggling to stay lit. She tilted her head and gave me that fake curious look, like she had no clue what I meant. "What do you mean?" she asked. Her voice too even, too controlled. That was all I needed. I could feel my chest tighten, but I stayed calm. I walked past her, picked up the laptop, opened it, and turned it around. Her face dropped. Not all the way, but just enough to show the panic behind her eyes. She did not say a word, just stared at the screen like it might somehow disappear if she blinked hard enough. I sat down at the kitchen table, quiet, waiting. She finally spoke. "It's not what you think." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was pathetic. That line, that cliché. She could not even give me something original. She kept talking, words spilling out in a rush. Something about how it started as a joke, how her friends dared her to make a profile, how she never meant to meet anyone, how it was just for attention. Just for attention. I let her talk, watched her twist herself into knots trying to downplay it. She said she only met Chase once, that it was a mistake, that it did not mean anything. But the dates, the messages, the man thanking her for last night? Her face flushed. She looked away. That was the first honest moment. I could feel the numbness spreading through me. This was the woman I had planned a future with. We had talked about buying a house, getting a dog, maybe kids someday. And the whole time, she had been building a second life behind my back. I stood up and walked toward the door. I did not yell. I did not throw anything. I just grabbed my keys and coat. "Where are you going?" she asked. I paused. "Out," I said, "to figure out whether I have been living with a stranger." And I left. The cold night air hit me like a slap, but I needed it. It grounded me, made everything feel real. As I sat in my car, gripping the steering wheel with white knuckles, I realized this was only the beginning. Because if she lied about this, what else had she buried? I could not sleep that night. Ended up parked in a grocery store lot at 2 in the morning, staring at the ceiling of my car. I replayed every moment from the last few months. All the little things I had ignored. All the signs I told myself were nothing. Like when she started sleeping with her phone under her pillow. Or how she suddenly had work dinners 3 nights a week, even though she worked remote. Or how she bought new lingerie but never wore it around me. God, how did I miss this? She had always been good at spinning things, twisting little truths until I believed the version she wanted me to see. And I wanted to believe. That was the worst part. I wanted so badly to trust her that I ignored the obvious. I thought about the cropped picture, the one with half my face in it. I remembered the day she took it. We were at the lake. She had wrapped her arms around me from behind and said, "This one's just for me." I never thought she meant for my dating profile. That stung. More than anything else. It was not just that she cheated. It was how calculated it all felt. Like she had carved pieces of me out to sell herself as single, while still using the parts of our life that made her look happy. When I finally got back to the house, the lights were off. She was asleep, or pretending to be. I sat on the edge of the couch, staring at the hallway, listening to the hum of the fridge. I could not stay. Not tonight. So I grabbed my old laptop, my keys, and a duffel bag. Threw in a couple pairs of jeans, a hoodie, and my toothbrush. No plan. Just motion. Just escape. I drove to my buddy Marcus's place and crashed on his couch. He did not ask questions. Just handed me a blanket and nodded. That kind of silence? It says more than words ever could. The next morning, I woke up to a text from her. It just said, "Can we talk?" I stared at it, then opened her profile again. Still active. Still online now. She wanted to talk, but she never stopped swiping. And that is when I knew. I had not found the truth yet. Just the tip of something way darker. Marcus made us coffee while I sat at his kitchen table, still trying to wrap my head around it all. He finally broke the silence, asked if I was okay. I lied. Said I was fine. The truth was, I felt hollow. Like someone had scooped my insides out and left a shell behind. I opened her profile again. This time, I noticed something I had missed before. A username. Not her real name, something vague, like CityGirl84. Generic, but familiar. And then it clicked. That same name had shown up once on a mutual friend's post. She had liked something under that name a few weeks back. I brushed it off then. Thought it was just a bot. But now? I started digging. Searched that username on every platform I could think of. And what I found made my skin crawl. 2 other profiles. Different photos. One with her hair a different color, maybe from a few years ago. Another with filtered selfies, mostly cleavage shots and vague captions like "lonely nights" and "looking for adventure." The bios were all similar. Open-minded. Drama-free. Just here for connection. Connection. What a joke. Messages showed she had matched with at least 5 different men. Different cities. Some of the same photos, reused. One guy even commented, "Back in town again?" That meant this was not new. She had been doing this for months, maybe longer. I felt this weird wave of shame rush over me. Like I was the one who got played. Like everyone around me had seen something I refused to. All those nights I cooked dinner, thinking she was just tired. All those weekends we stayed in because she needed rest. Meanwhile, she was out chasing strangers behind my back. It was not just betrayal. It was pattern, routine, and worst of all, she did not even try that hard to hide it. Just relied on me not looking, not asking. I sat there, jaw clenched, scrolling through proof after proof, and realized something brutal. I had loved someone who wore a mask every single day. Then the phone buzzed again. Another message. You don't understand. It wasn't real. I didn't mean to hurt you. But it was too late for that. Because now, I wanted answers, not apologies. And I knew exactly where to look next. I started with the app itself. Went back to her chats. I was not proud of it, but at that point, pride was long gone. I needed the truth, even if it tore me up. Some of the messages were shallow, flirty back and forths, emojis and half-hearted banter. But one thread stood out. Longer messages, more personal, like they knew each other. The guy's name was Dean. That name meant nothing to me at first, until I saw a message where she wrote, "Same place as last time? I'll tell him I'm out with Kelly again." Kelly was her best friend. And suddenly, it made sense. All those girl nights I thought she needed, they were cover stories. And this Dean guy? He was not just some fling. He was a regular part of her second life. I took a screenshot. Then another. I could not stop. I felt sick, but I kept scrolling, like my brain needed to feel the whole weight of it. Then came the bomb. A picture. Not one of those filtered selfies she used on the profile. A candid shot. Sitting at a bar. Leaning into this guy. Smiling the same way she used to smile at me. And in the background, a neon sign. Murphy's. That place was 2 blocks from our apartment. I had walked past it a dozen times in the last month alone. Sometimes with her. She had been meeting him right under my nose. Not across town. Not in secret hotel rooms. Down the street. It felt like the walls were closing in. My hands shook. My chest was tight. But I was done crying. I was done hoping for her to explain it away. I needed to see it for myself. So I grabbed my jacket, stuffed the screenshots into a folder on my phone, and headed toward Murphy's. Not to confront him. Not yet. Just to see who he was. Because if I was going to burn the truth into my memory, I wanted to look it in the face first. And when I got there, what I saw made my blood run cold. Murphy's looked the same as it always did. Dim lights, cheap beer, a jukebox that never played anything newer than 20 years old. It was a Tuesday night, quiet enough to hear the clink of glass from behind the bar. I slid into a booth near the back. Ordered nothing. Just watched. 10 minutes passed. Then 15. And then he walked in. Dean. I recognized him immediately, not just from the photos, but from real life. Because I had seen this guy before. At our gym. He had nodded at me once by the water fountain. We had stood side by side, changing shoes in the locker room. I never imagined he was the one sleeping with the woman I shared a home with. He walked like he owned the place. Tall. Confident. That easy charm people fall for without even realizing. He sat at the bar, ordered a drink, and pulled out his phone. Probably texting her. I stared at him from across the room, feeling this tight heat in my chest, like someone had tied wires around my ribs and started pulling. I wanted to walk up and say something. Wanted to scream. Shake him. Break something. But I did not move. Instead, I watched. And thought about all the times she had lied while this guy sat right here, probably bragging about the woman he was seeing who lived with her ex or had a complicated situation. I pictured her telling him about me, laughing about how clueless I was, using me like a wallet, a roommate, a cover. She had split our life into 2 timelines. And in this bar, they overlapped. Dean finished his drink, paid, checked his phone again. Then he left. And in that moment, I made a decision. This was not about revenge. This was about truth, and reclaiming the part of me she tried to erase. I stood up, walked out. The night air burned colder than before. Back at Marcus's place, I opened my laptop. I started writing everything down. Every screenshot, every lie, every breadcrumb she left behind. Because if she wanted to live in fiction, I was going to remind her what the truth actually looked like. 2 days later, I went back to the house. Not to talk, not to fight, just to end it on my terms. She was in the kitchen when I walked in, same spot where we used to have slow Sunday breakfasts. Her hair was pulled back, and she was wearing the old college hoodie she used to steal from me like it was a cute habit. She looked up, startled, her phone in one hand, a half-empty mug in the other. "Hey," she said, her voice small. "I've been trying to reach you." I said nothing at first. Just dropped a thick manila folder onto the table and sat down across from her. She stared at it. Her fingers hovered before she finally flipped it open. Inside were printed screenshots, photos, dates, timestamps, messages from the app, the one with my cropped face, the one where she told someone she was complicated, but worth it, even the one where the guy thanked her for a night I did not know she had. I watched her face closely. It shifted with every page. She flinched at some, looked away from others, but she never denied it. Not once. Not this time. After a long pause, she whispered, "I never meant for it to go this far." I almost laughed. It came out as a short breath through my nose. She started talking then. A long stream of broken explanations. Said it started out as nothing. Just a joke with her friends. Something to boost her confidence. Then it became a habit. Then it became a secret she did not know how to stop keeping. She told me she still loved me. That none of the guys meant anything. That I was home. I listened. Not out of hope, but because I wanted to hear what version of herself she would try to sell me now. When she finished, I finally spoke. "I'm not angry," I said. "I'm just done living next to someone who keeps telling me I matter while showing the world I don't." She opened her mouth again, probably to promise change, but I stood up before she could say another word. "You can keep that," I said, nodding at the folder. Something to look at when you start convincing yourself it was not that bad. Her face crumpled just a little, like she was bracing for some final blow that never came. But there was nothing else to give. No dramatic exit. No yelling. No tears. I had already felt everything. Now I just felt quiet. I walked out of that house the same way I walked in, with nothing but the truth in my hands. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was the one holding the pen again. Because whatever happened next, it would be my story, not hers. I thought that would be the end of it. I had said what needed to be said. I left the folder. I walked away. I figured she would spin her story to her friends, maybe cry a little, maybe call her sister and say things like he just walked out, and I never got a chance to explain. That was fine. I had no interest in playing cleanup. But then I saw the post. She had gone online the very next morning. Posted one of those carefully worded paragraphs over a filtered photo of her staring out a window. One of those faux deep shots with captions like, "Sometimes love changes. Sometimes it breaks. Healing in silence. Please respect our space." The comments rolled in like clockwork. Her best friends offered hearts and hugs. One of her coworkers said, "You guys were so perfect." A girl from her yoga class wrote, "You'll come back stronger." Someone tagged me. And that is when it hit me. She was rewriting the ending. Right in front of everyone. Suddenly, I was not the guy who got cheated on. I was the guy who walked away for no reason. She had taken the messy truth and turned it into a soft, tragic fairy tale where no one was at fault. So I posted one photo. Just one. The blurry dating app profile. The one where half of my face was still visible next to her fake name and a bio that read, "Not looking for anything serious. Just connection." No tags. No names. No captions full of rage. Just one simple line. This is what I came home to. While I cooked dinner, stayed loyal, and thought we were happy, I logged off. When I checked again a few hours later, my post had taken on a life of its own. DMs from mutual friends. Old coworkers. Even one of her friends I barely knew messaged me and said, "I had no idea. She told us you were pulling away." Someone else said they were sorry for pushing me to propose last fall. Another admitted they thought something felt off at that New Year's party when she kept checking her phone. Her version of events crumbled fast. And just like that, the spotlight shifted. Not in a loud, dramatic way, but in a quiet unraveling. I did not feel vindicated. I just felt seen. That night, she showed up at Marcus's apartment. She was crying before I even opened the door. Her eyes were red, voice small and cracking. "I made a mistake," she said. "I messed everything up." I let her talk. I let her plead. She begged for another chance. Said we could fix it. Said we could go to therapy. Said she could change. Then she said the words that finally broke the last thread between us. "I never stopped loving you." And I answered honestly. "I loved the version of you who loved me back. But she disappeared the moment you used my face to cheat and hoped I would never notice." She stepped back like the words physically pushed her. I did not yell. I did not ask her to leave. I just turned around, walked back inside, and shut the door behind me. Because I had nothing left to prove. The truth had already done that for me. After she left Marcus's porch, I stood at the door for a while, hand on the handle, listening to the silence she left behind. It was not the kind of silence that comes after a fight. It was deeper. Still. A full stop at the end of a sentence I never wanted to write, but needed to. She texted me once the next morning. Just 3 words. Please come back. I stared at it. Not because I was tempted, but because I remembered when those same words would have pulled me home without question. I would have run through traffic if she had said them 6 months ago. Now? I felt nothing but clarity. I deleted the message. Life after that did not change overnight. I was still crashing on Marcus's couch. Still waking up at odd hours with memories that hit like sharp corners. Still thinking about the mornings when we used to drink coffee barefoot in the kitchen, pretending forever was something you could plan. But day by day, I stopped remembering her voice. Stopped picturing her face when I walked into her room. Stopped bracing for the lie behind every "I love you." And in the absence of all that noise, something new grew. Stillness. Not emptiness. Peace. The truth is, the worst part of betrayal is not the moment you find out. It is the slow realization that it was never a single moment at all. It was a series of ignored gut feelings, odd silences, stories that never quite lined up. You just chose love over logic, because hope has a way of blinding you when your heart is all in. I had been all in, and she had cashed me out without flinching. People kept reaching out. Some to apologize for not seeing it. Some to vent about their own stories. Some just to say they had gone through something similar. Turns out, a lot of people know what it feels like to be the one left in the dark while someone else controls the light switch. I never responded to her again. Not when she emailed a week later. Not when she sent a letter to Marcus's place. Not even when I found a photo of us taped to my windshield with a note that said, "I still believe in us." She believed in comfort, in control, in always being the one who got forgiven. But me? I finally believed in myself. I moved out of Marcus's place 2 weeks later. Got my own small apartment. Quiet spot, not far from work. No shared bathroom. No secrets in the walls. Just a cheap couch, a good coffee maker, and a growing sense of self-respect. Sometimes I still pass Murphy's on the way to the store. And I wonder if Dean ever figured out he was not the only one. But I do not care. This was never about him. This was about me, letting go of the version of myself who stayed silent. Who made excuses. Who took love from someone who used it like bait. That guy is gone now. And the man who took his place? He walks tall, even when the road gets quiet. Because this time, the silence, it belongs to me.